What is the best strategy to 10x your crypto portfolio during this next bull run that we're anticipating? That's what we're going to talk about today on Crypto Intel. I'm Max, your host. And stay tuned to the end because I'm going to give you the one thing you must do to protect yourself as you're embarking on this journey to 10x your crypto investment. Let's get started. All right, so how to 10x your crypto portfolio in this bull run. So what are some things you need to keep in mind in order to get that kind of return? Well, the first thing is you're not going to be able to just buy Bitcoin and hope that it goes up to 400,000 in the next year or two. It's possible that it could go that high, but we just don't know. So what we need to do is look at what kind of crypto investments will give us a reasonable chance, a high probability of getting to that 10x. So let's, for sake of ease, let's use $100,000 as an example of the kind of money we want to invest. You might have 10,000, you might have more, you might have 50. You know, whatever you have, you can use this as an example. So the first thing to know is, how are we going to divide up our crypto investments? And I like to look at three different buckets for a crypto run bull market. The first bucket is going to be Bitcoin. And that's going to be the basis because that is your most conservative, your most reliable crypto. So you want to have a certain percentage in Bitcoin. Number two, you want to have a percentage in very crypto altcoins. Altcoins like right now, it would be Ethereum or Solana or some maybe DOT. Some cryptos that have had a cycle have a really strong use case and you can depend on them to grow to a certain percentage. My picks for this cycle are Ethereum and Solana. And I think that the way it's going to go is that Bitcoin is going to rise, Ethereum is going to rise a bit more than Bitcoin, and Solana is going to rise more than Ethereum and Bitcoin. And then the fourth category, or I should say the third category. So the first category is Bitcoin. Second category is your major altcoins, Ethereum and Solana, my picks. And then the third category is your smaller altcoins, where you can have a much bigger rise. And those are going to consist of cryptos that are in particular narratives. Now, let's look at what's the best way to proportion your buys in each of these categories. So the way that I look at it is I first want to try to have an understanding of where I think Bitcoin is going to go in this cycle. And I've done videos on this in the past, but right now my feeling is that Bitcoin will do between a 1.5 to 2 times its all-time high. So right now the all-time high is 60,000. So, you know, twice that would be 120,000, and 1.5 times would be somewhere around a little over 100. Now I think that's a conservative estimate, but based on the way that Bitcoin has risen in the past 2 cycles, we're having diminishing returns. In other words, maybe in the 2016-17 cycle, it went up 10 times. In the 2020 cycle, it went up about 4 times. And in this time, I think it's probably going to go up about 2 times. So roughly 2 times, 70,000 is about 140,000. So I think that from here, we're now at 40,000. From here, I think Bitcoin will do a 3 to 4x. So it'll go up 3 to 4 times. One other thing that I talked about in previous videos is that Bitcoin will probably have a dip. The probabilities are high that it will have some kind of dip between, I would say, between 15 to 30% between now and the halving, or a little bit after the halving. So right now we're at about 42. It might go up to say 48, and then it might dip down about 20% or so. And if we look on the chart here, let's say, let me get this. let's say it goes up to like 48, and then we have a 20% dip. That's going to take us down to about 38. If we have a 30% dip, that's going to take us down to about 31. And what's interesting is right around here, if you see, let me mark this off. If you see just around this area, around 37, and then again around 31, you see these are very strong support and resistance lines right here and right here. So I think we can probably expect a dip is somewhere in this range between 30, 38 and about 32. If we do get a dip around this range, that's when I would put more into Bitcoin. Okay, so if you don't have anything in Bitcoin right now, you might want to wait a little bit. And for that dip, again, between 15 to 30%. And then you can start layering into Bitcoin. So let's say that Bitcoin is going to go up from here about 4 times. All right, next we will look at something like Ethereum. And if we look at Ethereum, let me just get a fresh chart here. Let's just look at Ethereum on Bitstamp. If we look at Ethereum, we can see that in the last cycle, Ethereum went, when it broke this resistance line, Ethereum went up 400% or 4 times from the break of its last resistance here. So it went up about 4 times, and I expect that it might go up again about 2 times. So if we go 2 times from 5,000, that's going to bring us to 10,000. So what does that mean? That means that right now Ethereum is somewhere around 2,000, 2,200. If it goes up 10 times or 8 times from there, then we're going to see Ethereum at somewhere around 18,000. That's a little bit higher than I thought. So I think I would estimate, instead of 4 times, about 2 or 3 times. So 2 or 3 times its high, which was at 47. That would be somewhere around 8 to 10,000, somewhere around 10,000. That would be 4 times. That's where I think we can estimate that Ethereum is likely to go, the higher probability. That it can go higher, it can go lower, but we need to work on probabilities. So far what we have, Bitcoin about 4 times, Ethereum about 4 to 5 times its all-time high, all right? And then we have something like Solana. Let's look at Solana on Coinbase here. And we can see that Solana had, from its peak in 2021, it was up at 250. And, based on the way Solana is working, I would say that can go up between 7 to 8 times from its peak. So it's possible that Solana can go from, roughly 250 to somewhere around 800 or so. Let's see where that would bring it. That would be about 200% higher than its high. And from where it is now, you see, that would make it about 8 times, somewhere around here. So we can see that Solana, which is, kind of a trade that almost everybody is in right now. Solana has a greater potential than Ethereum. Ethereum has a greater potential than Bitcoin. So the way that I would break it down would be, I would put about 30 to 40% of my allotment for this cycle, my capital allotment, into Bitcoin. I would put another 30 to 40% between Ethereum and Solana. The way I'm doing that is I'm doing a 3-to-1. So if I'm putting 10,000 in Ethereum, I'm going to put 30,000 into Solana. And then that will leave us with about 30% or so to put into altcoins. And altcoins, we don't know how far they're going to run, because you want to have actually 2 types of altcoins that you want to buy. You want to buy altcoins that have very strong fundamentals and have had a cycle before, but are very strong this time going around, and it looks like they're gonna, just like Solana, go way above their all-time high in the last cycle. Okay, there are some, and I'm going to show you those in a minute. There are some altcoins that will do that, but you also want to focus, I would say I'm doing about half and half on altcoins that are new this time, and they have the most potential to do much more in the altcoins, if you're only allotting 30% of your capital bucket to altcoins, what I would do would be, and that's what I'm allotting, what I would do would be pick between a few different narratives. Now, what are some of the narratives? Well, to my mind, there's a couple you can pick from. One, I think one of the strongest ones is going to be gaming. And you can see here that I have about 10 or so altcoins in the gaming space that I think can do really well this cycle. They have good fundamentals, they have good tokenomics and so forth. And so what I would do, some of these have had a cycle already. Like for instance, if we look at Nakamoto, you can see that in the past cycle it was all the way up at about $7 or $8. And right now it's down at about $1.80, okay? I think if gaming takes off the way I think, if this narrative is very strong in this bull market run in the next 2 years, that this can go way higher than its all-time high in the last cycle. So that's why I'm investing in Nakamoto, for instance, okay? This is an example of a narrative that's strong, of a altcoin that has good growth potential, has already had a run, but has kind of a small run, okay? So this can very easily go 2 to 3 times where it was in the last cycle. That means up to, you know, $10 to $12 to $15. And if we take it from where it is now and we bring it up to $12, you see that's a 500% of 5x from here, 5 to 6x. Now, if we go 2 to 3 times from the high, that will bring it to about $15, and that would be a 7 or 8x. And this is kind of what you're looking for, roughly, so that you can get to the 10x, because some of these are going to go a lot higher. Another one that might be interesting would be something like Prime. Now, in Prime, you see this is a new coin, and so what happens is on the new altcoins, again, it's in a strong narrative. Gaming, okay? It has good fundamentals, and right now it's in what's called price discovery, because it's gone to make a new high. And where can it go? Well, when we use a tool like our fib extensions, we can go from the high where it was down to the low and back up to the high, and then we can extend out to see here where the extensions are. So this coin right now is at this 0.618 from the high, but it can go to the 1.6, it can go to the 2.0 and even higher. You don't know how high it's going to go, but these are the ones that can really give you great returns. So you want to have a portion of your altcoins in a good narrative that are new coins. So let's just take this one from where it broke out, and we bring it up, say, to the 4.6, and you can see that this can give you returns. So let me just fix this here. Can give you 5 to 6% just in the beginning of the bull run here. It can go much higher than that. So these are the two things that you want to do while you are looking at proportioning your portfolio. You want to have a percentage in Bitcoin, a percentage in the major altcoins, which are Ethereum, and I would say Solana, and then you want to have, you know, a 25 to 35% of your portfolio in these altcoins. So this narrative, gaming, is one. Another narrative would be DeFi and ordinals. Things like Track for ordinals could really jump. It's a new coin. You can see that it really has jumped up in the past, but it's just starting. And these are the kind of coins that can really give you 15, 20, 30x, even higher. Look at the narratives, look at the tokenomics of the altcoins within those narratives, and then pick, you know, I would say between, 5 and 8 of these altcoins for that 25 to 30%. And you can easily get to a 10x portfolio. That's all I have for you today. If you like the content, please give us a like, and we'll see you next time.